At the resource pavilion, He Qingyang opened his pouch and removed several stones he'd collected along the way. Inside were only 12 low-grade spirit stones, a clear indication of his poor financial state. The original owner of these possessions, as He Qingyang realized, was really poor. He thought to himself with a hint of disbelief, "NPC bro, your cultivation isn't great, and you don't have enough money either. Why did you even come to the Sky Realm?" As memories began to resurface, he vaguely remembered that the original owner came from a fairly notable background. Something about being part of a prominent demon dog clan. Yet here he was, barely scraping by. How did someone from a good family end up this poor? Just as He Qingyang was absorbed in these thoughts, a sudden shout startled him from behind. "Junior brother He!" Turning around, he saw it was senior sister Zheng Qingqing calling out to him. "Junior brother He, I heard you have already taken a mission," she exclaimed. He Qingyang responded, "Yes, I took it not long ago, and the elder gave me a one-time permission to leave the mountain." She continued excitedly, "Actually, I heard that Lord Yuehua just took a mission to leave the mountain as well. And I heard your mission location is quite close. Did you do this on purpose?" He quickly clarified, "It was just a mission that no one wanted, which the elder gave me." Pure coincidence. Her eyes widened in surprise as she looked at his small stash of stones. "Wow, really? You are down to this little money?" He admitted with a sigh, "Yes, that's all I have left." Encouraging him, she pointed out, "As long as you complete the low-level mission, the 2 points can be exchanged for 10 medium-grade spirit stones." 10 medium-grade spirit stones, isn't that equivalent to 300 taels of silver? She also tells him about the worth of his potential earnings. If he were in a different region, it could be worth even more silver. Senior sister Zheng Qingqing, after giving him this good news, teased, "Since I have given you this good news, you must tell me all about your romantic adventures with Lord Yuehua when you get back." She added with a smirk, "And if you ever become dual cultivation partners with Lord Yuehua, I'll be famous in the Sky Realm as well." After all, Lord Yuehua was considered a top choice for dual cultivation. With a cheerful farewell, she said, "See you later, junior brother He." He responded, "Goodbye, senior sister." He sighed to himself, "Sigh. Dual cultivating with her? I'd die even faster." The next morning, in the forest behind the dormitory, He Qingyang murmured to himself, 12 low-grade spirit stones, mid-starfire stage, God's perspective. And that's it. He looked at his meager resources and sighed, "With only this little on me, I can't even think about escaping from the vast Sky Realm. I will starve in a week," he realized. "I need to figure out how to increase money and cultivation." He thought, otherwise, when it's time to escape, I will be caught off guard and something will go wrong. Reflecting on his situation, he lamented, "I was just playing a game at home, and out of nowhere, I ended up in this world." The protagonist had found himself in the body of an unlucky NPC with no special abilities, wondering if his fate in this world was to become a joke. Yet, after some thought, he concluded that this wasn't the worst start for a transmigration. Embrace destiny and just go for it, he reminded himself. He had already been walking for 2 hours and decided to stop and refill his water supply from the nearby pond. As he approached the pond, he saw someone behind a stone taking a bath. Suddenly, the person turned and, startled, asked, "Who's there?" before letting out a scream. It was senior sister Liao Xin. The protagonist instantly regretted not running straight down the mountain. He realized with some discomfort that the pond water had probably turned into bath water by now. Liao Xin, clearly surprised but not overly concerned, spoke up. "Junior brother, did you come to find me?" He nervously replied, "I was just passing by and stopped for a drink. If I had known you were here, I could have taken a detour." Liao Xin smiled mischievously, seeming to enjoy the situation. "How coincidental, it's just the two of us here. Please don't be shy." The protagonist felt uneasy as Liao Xin's teasing words hung in the air. "Heh, clearly you came for me. It would be such a pity if you didn't give your life essence to senior brother Qin." The protagonist, trying to stay calm and focused on his task, quickly responded, "I need to hurry down the mountain to complete a task, senior sister Liao. You can continue your bath." Liao Xin approached junior brother He from behind, hugging him and pleading, "Junior brother He, don't go. You used to be much kinder to me. Who made you angry? If it's me, please tell me. What did I do wrong?" Junior brother He, however, responded coldly, asking, "Senior sister Liao, are you a pervert?" Shocked and embarrassed, Liao Xin fell to the ground, her cheeks burning as his words echoed in her mind. "Are you a pervert?" The shock left her paralyzed, wide-eyed and speechless. Determined to express her feelings, Liao Xin said, "Junior brother He, I have true feelings for you." "Why? Why do you insult me like this?" But junior brother He dismissed her, saying, "Senior sister Liao, you should focus your attention on senior brother Qin." Bye-bye. Liao Xin began to question the situation, thinking to herself, has this guy realized something? Lately, he's been deliberately avoiding me. It can't be. He clearly used to enjoy my advances. Unbeknownst to them, He Qingyang and Liao Xin were being watched from a distance, hidden on a tree. The observer, upon getting down, reported, "This He Qingyang is really strange. He claims to admire you, but I also hear he's in a close relationship with this Liao Xin." The observer continued, "Just now, Liao Xin showered her affection and he called her a pervert. I can't figure out what's going on with him." Ning Yiwan, another observer, advised, "Junior brother Li, it's better not to comment on others' matters." To this, the observer replied, "Yes, senior sister, I spoke too much." The conversation shifted as the observer cautioned Ning Yiwan about an impending threat. He said, "Senior sister, the demonic forces have been on the rise again recently. Your task this time also involves the demonic forces, so please be extra careful." Turning to junior brother Li, she reminded him, "Junior brother Li, your task is not easy either." With that, she proceeded to leave, stepping out of the protective barrier. Before parting, she informed him, "Junior brother Li, we part ways here. I need to head north to Zhuiyao County." In response, junior brother Li offered her his well wishes, saying, "May you return victorious, senior sister Ning." He Qingyang stood in front of the barrier, trying out the token that the elder had given him for his mission. With the token in hand, he passed through the barrier successfully. He exclaimed, "It really works." He couldn't help but think, it's a pity that this single-use token also has a recall function. If I exceed the mission's time limit, I will be forcibly sent back to the Sky Realm. Otherwise, I would have considered escaping this time. Arriving at Zhuiyao County, he realized it was quite close, just half a day's journey away. Zhuiyao County was located 10 kilometers north of the Sky Realm. It was a prosperous small town nestled between mountains and rivers. He observed that although the items sold here were ones he had seen in the game, actually seeing them in real life felt very peculiar. He thought back to how before these things were like static images, uninteractive, and most vendor NPCs couldn't even engage in conversation. Now hearing their laughter and banter added a unique flavor to the experience. Noticing his lack of equipment, he recalled, the original owner didn't even hold a decent weapon. He felt uneasy, considering that this mission, also known as the dry corpse case, might require a weapon. He decided, all right, let's take a look, and walked towards a weapon shop. A girl looked at him and asked, "Sir, what kind of weapon are you looking to buy?" "Our shop has everything, from secret hidden weapons to great axes," she added. He replied, "I'm a sword cultivator, so I should buy a suitable sword even though I don't know how to use one." He Qingyang looked towards a sword and asked the shopkeeper, "How much for this iron sword?" The shopkeeper responded, "You have a good eye, sir. This sword can cut through iron like mud, perfect for self-defense. It's only 10 taels of silver." He Qingyang replied, "I don't have any silver on me. Can I pay with lower-grade spirit stones?" The shopkeeper informed him, "There's a pawn shop nearby. Both spirit stones and silver can be used as currency." She added, "If you convert it into lower-grade spirit stones, 3 will be enough." He Qingyang handed over 3 lower-grade spirit stones, feeling a bit of pain at parting with his spirit stones. The shopkeeper said, "Thank you for the purchase." He Qingyang then mentioned, "By the way, shopkeeper, I'm actually a disciple from Liu Shui Peak in the Sky Realm. I'd like to ask you about the Firewater House." The shopkeeper responded with surprise, "Oh, an immortal cultivator. I have indeed heard some things about Flower Water House. The shopkeeper leaned closer to him and said, Flower Water House is the largest brothel in the area. Recently, many men have been carried out completely drained and dying in a horrifying way. The authorities had questioned the girls in the house and even called in the dragon flying division to identify them. They were all human. However, there was still suspicion about how these human girls could drain men dry, suggesting that something unusual might be happening. He Qingyang expressed his gratitude to the shopkeeper for the information and stated, Thank you for the information, shopkeeper. I will head to Flower Water House right away. The shopkeeper encouraged him, saying, If you are a cultivator from the Sky Realm, I believe you will find something. As He Qingyang was leaving, the shopkeeper pleaded, Immortal cultivator, please rid us of this evil. He Qingyang arrived at the Flower Water House. He observed that it was unusually empty. The dry corpse case seemed to have significantly affected business, as this place would usually be full of activity on a regular day. Someone descending the stairs voiced their frustration, saying, At this rate, I will have to close down in less than 3 months. Sigh. They continued, Damn it, there are plenty of men out there. Why come to my Flower Water House and target mine? The woman noticed He Qingyang and exclaimed, Ah, a customer. She hurried over to him, enthusiastically offering, Oh, young master, what would you like to drink, eat, or which girl would you like? A massage? Listen to a tune? Or maybe some games? Our girls can do it all. He Qingyang thought to himself that this madam must have been desperate for business lately. He introduced himself saying, I am a disciple of Luishi Peak from the Sky Realm, here to exterminate evil and uphold justice. As he spoke, he thought privately that saying such words made him feel 10 feet tall, feeling heroic. The madam then started crying and said, My life is so miserable, O immortal master. You have no idea how much I have suffered. She hugged him and added, I have been praying for a hero day and night, and finally, you have arrived. He Qingyang reassured her, saying, Madam, don't worry. First, tell me about the case. The madam began explaining, 2 months ago, a male guest was found dead in one of the girls' beds, which terrified our girls. We initially thought he had indulged excessively, but since then, every 3 days, another male guest has died. Those guests' kidneys were all gouged out. It's really frightening. He Qingyang thought to himself, what the actual fuck, is this a kidney harvesting case? The madam continued, Originally, I reported this to the officials. As you know, Immortal Master, Flower Water House operates in a grey area between the authorities and the Dragon Flying Office. After several days of surveillance, they felt that the deaths were related to Flower Water House itself, so they couldn't be bothered and left me to settle privately with the family. I lost quite a bit of silver. With no other choice, the madam explained that she could only send a desperate message for help to the immortal masters of the Sky Realm, hoping they would come to her aid. She lamented, My life is so miserable, clearly overwhelmed by her situation. He Qingyang began analyzing the situation, thinking to himself that in this era there was no known surgery for organ transplants. This meant that the thief taking the kidneys had to be either a cultivator with mystical abilities or some sort of demonic creature. He wondered, but why would they target the kidneys? Usually, if someone were harvesting organs, they'd go for the heart, right? He speculated that maybe this demonic creature was specifically in need of kidneys and had a shortage of them. He also considered another possibility, wondering if the thief might have a particular weakness or lack in that area. He concluded that if it was just a demonic creature that targeted kidneys, then it shouldn't be too powerful. As long as it wasn't beyond the Foundation establishment stage, he believed he should be able to handle it with ease. After all, this is just a low-level task, he thought, reassuring himself. Turning to the madam, he asked, When was the last incident? She replied, It was the day before yesterday. So tomorrow we are likely to face another death at our Flower Water House. Her voice trembled at the thought of the impending doom. In a desperate plea, she grabbed He Qingyang's arm, placing it between her hands against her chest, and said, My life is so miserable. Immortal Master, you must help me. Save Flower Water House, she begged, her desperation evident. He Qingyang responded confidently, I will do everything in my power. Just then, someone else came downstairs and said, Madam, didn't I ask you to get me some bird's nest from Wang the shopkeeper's place? It's been several days. Why haven't you brought them to me? Madam, keeping her composure, replied, Lianga, business has been so bad lately. You've had only 3 or 4 customers in total, not enough to cover the cost of the bird's nest. Hold a little longer. Once the immortal master resolves the case, I will find someone to buy them for you. Lianga sighed, glancing at He Qingyang and murmured, Oh, immortal master. With a reluctant nod, she added, Then I will wait a few more days, before turning and leaving. Madam watched her go, then turned to He Qingyang. Lianga is one of the top girls here, usually pampered and spoiled. With the monthly income reduced these days, it's understandable she's in a bad mood. Immortal master, please don't mind her. He Qingyang remained calm, replying, No problem. After a brief pause, he continued, By the way, could you prepare a guest room for me, madam? Just a regular one. I need some time to think about what to do. Tonight I will observe the layout of the flower waterhouse closely to ensure everything goes smoothly. Madam's face brightened, and she nodded eagerly. All right, all right. Immortal master, follow me, and I will take you to a guest room. Nearly all the rooms occupied by the girls had recently seen tragic deaths, with only Lianga's room spared from any incidents. The dark events cast a shadow over the place, and it was no wonder Lianga was in a poor mood. Noticing her distress, He Qingyang inquired, Which one is Lianga's room? The madam guided him through the dimly lit hallway, finally stopping outside a modest room. She gestured toward it, saying, This is it. He Qingyang looked at the door thoughtfully before responding, Tonight I'll stay in the guest room. Tomorrow morning I'll switch to Miss Lianga's room. In front of Lianga's room, Madam knocked on the door and asked if Lianga was inside. Lianga responded, explaining that she was about to go to bed and asked what was going on. Madam informed her that the next morning the immortal master would be switching rooms with her for a temporary period, and she would need to move out after she woke up. He Qingyang expressed his gratitude for the arrangement. Lianga, however, was skeptical. She questioned why a man needed to take over a lady's room, feeling that the situation seemed odd. Qingyang reassured her, explaining that he was concerned for her safety due to the presence of a possible culprit who might harm her. Otherwise, he wouldn't have suggested the room swap. Relenting, Lianga remarked that Qingyang was quite pleasing to the eye, and since he looked good, she didn't mind letting him stay temporarily. However, Madam quickly intervened, reminding Lianga to show respect, emphasizing that the immortal master was not like other men. As Lianga left the room, she acknowledged Madam's advice, saying, Got it. Madam then apologized to the immortal master for Lianga's casual attitude, explaining that girls from places like this could be tactless. Qingyang reassured her that it was no problem. They both entered the room, and Madam showed the immortal master his temporary quarters, noting that it offered the best location with a full view of the first floor. Madam took hold of He Qingyang's hand and expressed her worry, telling him that her life and livelihood were in his hands. She was concerned that if another murder occurred, even her few remaining customers would flee. He Qingyang reassured her, promising to do his best to help. Afterward, He Qingyang told Madam he needed to prepare, and he gently sent her out of the room. Once alone, he sat down, sighed, and reflected on his situation. He recalled that in the game world, the brothel had a similar side quest, but since the rewards weren't great, he had chosen to skip it. Now he regretted that decision and thought to himself that if he could return to his original world, he would never skip any quests again. As he prepared for the night, He Qingyang decided to cultivate and carefully review the original owner's cultivation techniques. He hoped that the culprit wouldn't be too difficult to handle, although he noted that this low-level task was only worth 2 points, which suggested it might not be very dangerous. Nonetheless, he reminded himself to stay cautious. He reflected on what he had read in a book. After reaching the foundation establishment stage, one could gather spiritual energy at the forehead, enabling them to perceive the spirit of all things. With continued cultivation, one's perception and control over all things would strengthen. Although He Qingyang was at the Starfire stage, equivalent to the human foundation establishment stage, he believed he should be able to cultivate further using these techniques. He tried out the technique to see if it would work, and soon discovered it did. He could sense the energy flowing through him, confirming the technique's effectiveness. This newfound ability fascinated him. Cultivation is so interesting, he thought. Why did the original owner neglect his training? If the previous owner of his body had put in more effort, He Qingyang might already have reached the third realm by now. It felt like a waste of the demon dog clan's talent. Motivated by this thought, He Qingyang started reading and memorizing the techniques in earnest. After committing the material to memory, he proceeded with martial arts practice, determined to improve himself. I have pretty much memorized the first 3 chapters of this technique, he reflected, feeling a sense of accomplishment. He planned to return to Liu Shui Peak to borrow more techniques from the library, eager to continue his studies. Suddenly, without warning, he transformed into the form of the demon dog. Tears filled his eyes as he whispered, "Here it comes again." After a long day of traveling, he reassured himself, "Never mind. I have been traveling all day long, so I better get a good night's rest to work well tomorrow." With that thought, he soon fell into a deep sleep. Meanwhile, in another location, Ning Yuan was being chased, and as she ran, she said, "Whether I run or not, it's a dead end either way." The pursuer laughed mockingly, taunting her. "You fell for it without knowing. Lord Yuehua is just an empty name," he sneered, confident in his approach. When they finally closed in on her and were about to catch her, they ominously declared, "Ning Yuan, tonight your spirit jade body will belong to us." Ning Yuan suddenly stops and pulls out her moon-water silk sword. With precise martial arts techniques, she attacks her pursuers, swiftly knocking most of them out. As she stands among the defeated, one remaining pursuer approaches her, pleading, "Immortal lady, please spare us. We were wrong." But Ning Yuan, showing no mercy, quickly eliminates them all in one final strike. She declares to the last one, "Demon, you are already dead." Ning Yuan stepped onto her sword and flew towards Zuoyao County at a high speed. Inside the Flower Water Pavilion, Lianga asked He Qingyang about his plan to catch the culprit. He Qingyang replied that his strategy was a secret for now. Lianga pointed out that the culprit had been stealing men's kidneys and asked if He Qingyang was afraid. Lianga thanked He Qingyang for his help as she was preparing to leave. Later, He Qingyang entered Lianga's room and noted that the decorations were quite ordinary, which was unexpected. While there, he overheard someone saying that they did not serve female customers. This piqued his curiosity, and he wondered why a woman would be visiting the Flower Water House. Investigating further, he was shocked to see Ning Yuan there and thought to himself, wondering why she was present instead of being on her own mission. Ning Yuan, meanwhile, spoke to the madam of the house, noting that there were barely any male guests left. She asked the madam if she would really turn away a guest who was bringing in money. The madam's eyes began to shine with interest upon hearing this. The madam agreed with Ning Yuan and asked if she would be staying for a meal or overnight. Ning Yuan replied that she would be staying for one night. Ning Yuan sensed a faint demonic aura within the flower house. She noted that fortunately, the aura wasn't accompanied by the smell of blood, indicating it was likely a small demon that hadn't committed any evil deeds yet. Meanwhile, He Qingyang was observing Madame and Ning Yuan from inside a nearby room. He overheard Ning Yuan asking Madame who was staying in the room. Madame responded, saying it was just one of the girls from the flower house. In her thoughts, Madame remembered the immortal master advising her not to reveal too much about his mission to unrelated people, to prevent any information leaks. Ning Yuan warned Madame to be extra cautious, as demonic and evil forces had recently become more active than usual. She advised Madame to be wary of allowing any suspicious individuals into her home. He Qingyang then thought to himself, realizing that Ning Yuan's spirit jade physique in the game was designed to detect the presence of demons and evil spirits. In the Sky Realm, it was generally safe, as the mountains there were filled with spirit beasts. The aura of spirit beasts was similar to that of demons, but only the weaker ones wouldn't be detected by cultivators. Now that Qingyang had ventured into the outside world, he realized that the difference between human and demon auras was too obvious, making his presence easily detectable. He understood the need to conceal his demon dog aura. Otherwise, Ning Yuan would eventually discover him when he returned to the Sky Realm. In the game world, Ning Yiwan was relentless, mercilessly eliminating any demon or evil spirit she encountered. As midnight approached, Qingyang remembered what the madam had said, that the timing was right and the killer demon should soon appear. He then heard someone screaming for help. Rushing outside, he found that it was Lianga who was in trouble, struggling against a mysterious attacker. Lianga pleaded for the attacker to let go of her, and the culprit was surprised to see Qingyang staying in the same room. Acting quickly, Qingyang got behind the culprit and demanded that he release Lianga. In one swift move, he struck the attacker's head, separating him from Lianga. Reflecting on the encounter, Qingyang felt relieved that the original owner of his body possessed demon dog blood, which gave him a few useful self-defense skills. Thanks to a quick review of these skills the previous night, he managed to dodge the attack, a feat that would have been challenging otherwise. As the culprit spotted Qingyang, he cursed, exclaiming, "Damn it! It's a cultivator!" Realizing the danger, the culprit turned and fled. Seeing this, Qingyang quickly told Lianga to start yelling for help loudly, while he would chase after the fleeing culprit. Lianga agreed, responding, "Yes, all right." Following Qingyang's instructions, Lianga began shouting, "Help! Help!" Her cries caught the attention of Ning Yiwan, who approached her and asked with concern, "What happened? What's going on?" In a weak voice, Lianga informed Ning Yiwan that the immortal master had gone after the culprit, and then fainted from the ordeal. This made Ning Yiwan pause and think, wondering to herself, "Immortal master? Has someone else already taken on this low-level task?"